Welcome to Tuntum Grasscutter Farms. Do remember that every grasscutter farmer is a grasscutter. There are certain common practices here on our farms that every farmer should know, and it helps our farm to grow. Number one has to do with record keeping. We have various forms of record keeping, but I would like to do it generally and basically. Now, in your grasscutter farms, you need to have name tags on your farms for it to help us to know the ages of your animal and also to know who parents who on your farm. When we are able to do this, it brings inbreeding to a minimum. Now, there is another something that is tricky here that I'm practicing that will help you on your grasscutter farms. When it comes to mating, I have two types of mating cages here in Tuntum Grasscutter Farms. Number one has to do with the closed caging system that is for mating. The closed caging, I put in a tame male grasscutter and I put in a female grasscutter that refuses to be penetrated or a female that refuses to be mated. Now, this is how the closed mating cages look like. When you look in here, you see two adult female in here. The female is here and very big and pregnant. You can see this is the female and that is the male. The male is very tame, but the female refuses to be penetrated. It refuses to be mated. So when you put it in a closed cage this way, the male is able to mount on it. The moment it turns, the female cannot have the space to escape from the male. So the moment the male turns, it's able to catch the male and mate it as simple and very easy as compared to a bigger cage. If the perimeter of the cage here is very big, it will be very difficult for the male to cross the female because the female will always be running away from the male. And so it is very important that you use the closed cage system for females that refuse to be penetrated. Now, when we look here, there is another cage here. There is another cage here. When you look at the inside of this cage, the inside of the cage is of a bigger space because the male here is very aggressive. When you put in a female, it pounds on the female to catch it. So when the space is big, the female have enough space to run with the male so that the male will not be able to pound on it. So if you keep such male in the closed cage, if you don't take time, the male will end up killing the female because the female do not have enough room to escape. Now, there is another bigger cage here. This bigger cage is used to cross various females because grasscutters are polygamous animals. Grasscutters are able to mate from 1 to 5 females all at a time. So if you can see here, this is the male, the bigger one, and it is living there with its wife. It has 3 beautiful wives here, and it has mated them all. You can see the scratches on the shoulders of the females. Anytime you see that, that is one sign to tell you that the female has been mounted. Yes, so these are certain common practices we have here in Tuntum Grasscutter Farms.
The record keeping, how do you do it?
Yes, the very day you keep your animals to cross.
Because I can see you have written.
Let's look here. You can see Albi CRS, meaning albino crossed.
Okay.
And the crossing was done on the 5th month of this year, 29th. So this female was crossed by the albino, the big albino at the top here.
Okay.
So after this animal gives birth, because of my record keeping, I'll be able to tell which animal parents who.
Let's talk about some common diseases that you experience in grasscutter farm.
Yes, we have a common disease like diarrhea. Diarrhea is mostly common in grasscutter farming, and number one thing that brings diarrhea is a change of diet. For instance, the animals here feed mostly on corn stick, guinea grass, bacteria. They feed on parages, they feed on cassava peels, they feed on corn husk, watermelon covers. They feed on how do you call it? They also feed on pineapple crowns. Those are some of the common foods I feed to this animal. So if I'm bringing an animal from a farm that is maybe feeds on maybe bamboo shoots as its regular food, and there's a change of diet here, the animal is likely to have diarrhea. And when the diarrhea comes, what we do is I feed them dry corn just to constipate their bowels, or I feed them with ayilo. When you put ayilo inside and they eat a little bit of it, it constipates them and then it cuts off the diarrhea.
How do you call ayilo? That is clay.
The clay, I've forgotten
the fine clay.
Yes, it has got some English name. It has gotten some English name, but when I remember, I'll bring it up. Or sometimes when you put in the ayilo and the animal is not able to feed it in, you can put it in an injecting syringe. You can pull it into the syringe and then open their mouth and push it in, and that ends the diarrhea. We also have catarrh. These animals also suffer catarrh or cold. You realize when such time comes, they begin to cough. They begin to cough. When the animal begins to cough, the antidote we use here is the scent leaf. You get the scent leaf, you hang it, you squeeze it, and then hang it at the entrance of the cages. When the air carries it into the cages and they breathe it into their nostrils, there is a quick relief, and then the animals are free from catarrh or the coughs.
What might be the cause?
Causes of the cough has to do with the weather, and another thing also has to do with dust. Where especially in the Harmattan season, where there are certain farms our maintenance is low, a lot of cobwebs and all those things, it brings about some of these coughs and catarrh in grasscutter farming. Yes, there is another one I also like to talk about, which is the paralysis. You know, in every grasscutter farm or in every animal husbandry, we have farm secrets. Paralysis has become a major challenge in grasscutter farming, and little has been done about it because a lot of people or scientists have not dived into grasscutter farming. So there is no permanent or quick cure to paralysis. But here in Tuntum grasscutter farms, I've been able to put one or two together to help the animals to walk again, and I'm still at my trial stages and putting stuff together. So like I said, there are farm secrets, and this remains a secret to Tuntum grasscutter farms as to how to cure paralysis.
That secret has to be that secret there, you have to share it. You cannot say it's a secret. Let's talk about the treatment for the paralysis.
Yes, like I said again, you know, I have to come out with a complete cure, then I'll be able to give the cure out. But what I have realized is the causes of the paralysis. The causes of the paralysis has to do with our farm practices. There are certain practices that is going on in our farms, such as cleaning, such as how the animal are being exposed to the weather here on our farms is causing the paralysis. You know, grasscutters, when they are in the wild, they are on a free range. The animals are able to travel, go far, they are able to run, they are even able to exercise themselves. But when you look at our cages here, they are not too big sizes. So there is also help in the causing of this paralysis on the grasscutters. So whatever it is, maybe on your next visit, I'll be able to...
No.
Thank you, brother. You know, it's a farm secret, but owing to what my brother is saying, then I have to bring it out because of the sake of our brother here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you know, our grasscutters, because of our farm practices I made mention of, they are lacking the vitamin called vitamin D. So when you are deficient of the sun, then you get paralysis in grasscutter. So because of that, they need the vitamin D to ignite their solar plexus. When they ignite their solar plexus, movement becomes easy for them and there is no problem. So that is the more reason why we try to use the sun to heal them of the paralysis, and it's working for us. It's just unfortunate that we don't have instruments to be testing these animals to see what they are deficient of. But what I've realized is that they lack vitamin D, and that is vitamin from the sun, you know, and that is what is causing the paralysis. Yes, so to cure this, you have to feed your animals so well and then expose them to the sun. Allow the animal to eat the sun. What I mean by eating the sun is sun bathing. Allow them to enjoy the vitamins straight from the sun. Within a week or two, you realize that the animal will begin to return to its state, and then everything will be fine. That is how we heal grass cutters by
the paralysis. Thank you very much for sharing. See, thank you. As you have gotten to this stage, I'm sure that someone will continue from where you have left it. And currently, do you have any? I saw you sunbathing.
Yes, this is one of the grass cutters that was suffering from paralysis. When you came in the morning, you saw how it was looking.
Yeah.
But when it was kept under the sun, now it's getting better. So what we do here is, in the morning, after the sun has risen, you keep the animal in a squeeze cage like this. Keep it in a squeeze cage, keep it under the sun with some food around it so it can be feeding whilst under the sun. When the sun is too high and you realize it is too much burning, you bring it in. And then again, you take it to the sun before the sun down so that it can again enjoy the sun. So this is repeated 2 times every day for 2 weeks, and the animal is able to walk again, especially when the paralysis is detected at the early stages.
Okay. What caused the removal of? You can see the fur is removing.
Yes, you know, some of my animals used to walk on the floor.
Okay.
So during the time of paralysis, because the animal need a free range, you take all sick animals from their cages and drop them to the floor. So it's had an encounter with another grass cutter and they fought, and now that is how come some of the fur got removed.
So when there is a cut, how do you treat the cut?
Yes, grass cutters are self-healing animals. They are self-healing because all the food they eat are medicinal. So even when you don't attend to a cut on a grass cutter, it heals by itself. But for you to have a quick relief, you will just have to catch the grass cutter that have gotten the cut, maybe bruises from fight or anything. Then after getting it, you put a red oil or a palm oil on top of the skull or the wound, and then spread ashes on it just for once and leave the animal, and the animal is good to go. They are self-healers and do not need any synthetic drug.
Yeah. No vaccination.
No vaccination. There is no veterinary in grass cutter farming as it stands now.
Is it that we don't have much knowledge about it? That's why there's no veterinary, or naturally there's?
For me, if you ask me, what I would say is that grass cutter farming is a non-traditional system of farming, and a little knowledge has been acquired about these animals scientifically. So as it stands, there is no veterinary to it. Everything we do here is organic way. We heal them organically, we feed them organically, and the meat tastes organically. Another thing that worries grass cutters, especially when they have worm infestation, the animal do not grow well because they are not able to feed so well. So to whet the appetite of your grass cutters, you will have to deworm your grass cutters. Someone will ask, how do you deworm your grass cutters? Over the internet, when you check, you will be told you have to give pawpaw seeds to your grass cutters. But the question is, will grass cutters feed on pawpaw seed, or do they even see pawpaw seed as food at all? The answer is no. So here what we feed to our grass cutters to deworm them is, we feed them with paralysis. The paralysis in tree is called abunsambode. Abonsamba we say in tree is the paralysis plant. When you feed the paralysis to it, it helps to deworm the animal because the paralysis plant is a natural laxative that helps the animals to be dewormed. And they see it as food, so it's easy to be administered to them.